Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive shift in how we actually design organizations. Right now, businesses everywhere are facing this completely unprecedented challenge. How do you integrate AI into your operations effectively without just, breaking things? Usually, we see companies just throwing AI agents blindly at their problems, crossing their fingers, and hoping for the best. And what happens? They end up with this tangled, unmanageable mess. But what if you could architect your entire human and AI workforce with the precision of a master city planner, all before a single line of code is even executed? Well, that is exactly what we are going to explore today with the Allynix Workforce Composer. Okay, let's dive into this. What is the absolute billion-dollar question in modern business? It's this. What exact combination of humans and AI workers should exist to actually achieve a specific objective? Typical AI agent builders completely fail to answer this. They just hand you the tools to build a digital worker, but they don't tell you if you even need that worker in the first place, or how it fits into your broader team, or how you're supposed to govern it. It's literally like handing someone a hammer without a blueprint. The Allynix approach asks this much bigger, critical question first, ensuring that every single piece of artificial labor is deployed for a very specific, measurable reason. And to answer that question, we get to this definition. The Allynix Workforce Composer is fundamentally a workforce design engine. So think of it not as the construction worker laying the bricks, but as the master architect. It takes a high-level business goal and mathematically decomposes it into actual work. Then it meticulously decides, okay, which tasks should stay with humans, which ones should be AI-assisted, and which can be totally delegated to AI. From there, it generates the exact roles you need. We're talking agent passports, specific skills, supervisors, authority levels, KPIs, budgets, the whole shebang. It literally designs the entire governed AI workforce you need to hit an outcome, way before anything is ever deployed. Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, we'll look at moving beyond building AI agents, then designing before you build. After that, the 6 core responsibilities. Next, governance and human control. And finally, the future, which is workforce intelligence. Section 1. Beyond building AI agents, operating at a higher level of AI management. Now, execution engines, LLM routers, and agent containers, they're incredibly useful for executing tasks and building individual workers, right? But they completely lack the bigger picture. The composer operates one entirely different level higher. It's high-level organizational design. If those other systems are the construction crew pouring the concrete, the composer is the city planner designing the entire grid so traffic actually flows smoothly. By not getting bogged down in the basic execution, Composer secures a much stronger, way more strategic position. Section 2. Designing before you build. Structuring success before deployment. Let's ground this abstract concept with a real-world scenario. Imagine your founder who sets a very clear, ambitious objective. I want to scale my monthly revenue from $200K to $500K. Now, in the old paradigm, that founder might just tell their IT team, hey, go build some sales AI. But with the composer, the process is radically different and honestly far more sophisticated. The composer takes that $200,000K to $500,000K revenue goal and mathematically breaks it down. First, it decomposes the goal into all the required tasks needed to actually generate that extra $300K. Then, it allocates that work. It looks at the board and decides, okay, what requires a human touch? What is best handled by an AI-assisted human? And what can be completely delegated to an AI worker? It then generates the required roles. So maybe it identifies that you need 3 human closers, 5 AI prospectors, and 1 human supervisor. Finally, it sets authority levels and budgets for this brand new team. It really proves that this isn't about just blindly replacing humans. It's about engineering a purpose-built team to hit a specific economic result. Section 3. The 6 core responsibilities. How Workforce Composer operates. Let's move to and see how this actually builds. Here is the definitive chronological blueprint for turning a raw business goal into a fully optimized workforce. Step 1 is goal decomposition, turning an outcome into work. Step 2, work intelligence. Step 3 is workforce architecture, determining the organizational structure. Step 4, worker specification, outlining what each role actually needs. Step 5 is governance design, establishing control. And finally, Step 6, workforce optimization, which improves the system over time. Let's look a bit closer at a couple of these vital steps. Step 2, work intelligence, is an absolutely critical capability. Say the decomposed goal is to increase customer retention. Well, work intelligence steps in to classify every single activity required to make that happen. It translates those goals into specific classifications, determining exactly where artificial labor should actually be deployed, versus where human empathy and intuition are strictly required. It completely removes the guesswork from automation. Then, once the architecture is set, we hit step 4, worker specification. This is where the composer determines precisely what each digital worker needs to actually function in the real world. It drafts what we call agent passports. It dictates the specific skills needed, assigns supervisors, establishes operational boundaries, and lists runtime requirements. But, and here is a super critical detail, the composer only drafts these. They only become authoritative and real once they are officially registered into the appropriate Allynix domains. This system designs. It absolutely doesn't just instantly unleash agents out into the wild. Section 4. Governance and human control. Maintaining authority over AI. Now, what's really interesting about this is that strict governance is what truly separates this from your ordinary, chaotic agent builder. The heartbeat of Allynix's governance model is this 4-step safety loop. First, the composer will recommend a change, like maybe proposing an increased budget for an AI marketing agent because, hey, it's performing really well. Second, that recommendation goes through the govern phase, checking against company policies. Third, and most importantly, it requires a human decision. Humans always approve these changes. Only then do we reach step 4, authoritative change. The system never ever secretly grants itself authority or engages in uncontrolled self-modification. The human is always the ultimate supervisor. Section 5. The future, workforce intelligence. Data-driven organizational design. Because the system designs the workforce, deploys it, and then measures its real-world performance, it creates this incredibly powerful closed loop. Over time, the composer continually compares the designed workforce against real performance, and in doing so, it generates highly proprietary data about which combinations of humans, AI agents, skills, and organizational structures actually produce real economic results. It literally learns what configurations actually make money. Over time, the system accumulates so much data that it can output highly specific insights. It can recognize, for example, that for a 20-person B2B SaaS company trying to reach 5 million ARR, a specific human plus AI workforce configuration historically performs best. And this brilliantly illustrates how Workforce Composer is no longer just an agent creator. At this point, it has evolved into a highly defensible, data-driven AI organizational design engine. It doesn't just guess what's going to work, it knows. Bringing everything together, if we had to distill this entire explainer down to a single definitive summary of what the system achieves for a modern business, it is this. Allynix Workforce Composer transforms business objectives into governed human and AI workforce architectures. It essentially bridges the gap between what you want your company to achieve and the exact, safe, structured labor required to get you there. I want to leave you with a really bold promise. Describe the outcome. Allynix designs the workforce required to achieve it. It completely flips how we think about scaling businesses in the age of AI. It's no longer just about managing software. It's about designing your ultimate workforce. So, looking at your own business, what incredible outcome would you describe today? And what do you think your future workforce will actually look like to achieve it? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep designing the future.